Well, good afternoon. J.L. Adamson here, welcoming you to a Remodeler's Retirement Guide to Medicare Savings Accounts, the webinar. Some of you have already asked, and yes, this is being recorded, but you should know if you happen to be viewing a recording of this webinar that it is currently plan year 2022. My wife Kathy and I own and operate Adamson Associates, a nationally certified project management agency that is also multi-state licensed to transfer the risks of aging in place as well as the end of life. We are not wealth managers, we are not accountants or attorneys of any kind. But that said, those folks are the associates in our name. So if you need a referral, just let us know. If you see the wisdom of adding our risk tools and expertise to your existing team, just let us know. We help businesses, families, and individuals answer some very tough questions that we've had to answer ourselves. What happens if I live too long? What happens if I die too soon? What happens if I lose my income to illness, injury, economic downturn, or our new favorite, taxes? It's not that wealth managers, accountants, and attorneys don't ask these questions. They certainly do. It's just that they have other questions to tend to. We do not. Our tools are designed to do one thing: manage risk. And while we currently have educational content on our agent training website for each of these tools, all of which are really not just tools but multi-tools for multiple project purposes, today's webinar is on the M tool in REMO, R-E-M-O, Medicare, specifically Medicare savings accounts. Now, very likely, this is your first look at such a plan, otherwise known as MSAs. So over the next 15 minutes, I will simply overview a sample MSA from one of our companies so that you can comfortably review the content again as needed. MSAs are not for everyone, but if more people knew about them, I do think more people would choose them. So besides being yet another three-letter abbreviation in the alphabet soup we call healthcare, what is an MSA? And is it a medical savings account, Jer, or is it a Medicare savings account? Well, it is Medicare, so I tend to refer to it as that, a Medicare savings account, so as not to be confused generically with any savings account earmarked for medical expenses. If you have been my Medicare client or known one of my Medicare clients, you will perhaps recall me likening Medicare to a tree that grows up and out and into three massive branches, each branch distinct, each heading in its own direction, but all three Medicare nonetheless. All three are options we help people apply for, in good order. I personally will never be convinced that one size fits all is a good approach to Medicare, or even tenable for that matter. So then you got my standard email linking you to a few 3 to 5 minute videos on our website educating you to those three ways to do Medicare. And I asked you, just for starters, which of the three branches seem to be the best fit for you. Branch 1 is using a Medicare supplement to fill in the gaps left by original Medicare Parts A and B. Branch 2 being the Medicare Advantage plans that have become so popular because of the bundled coverages that many of them provide. Branch 3 being the subject of this webinar, medical or Medicare savings accounts. Now technically, as far as the government is concerned, MSAs are Medicare Advantage plans. But that's not how I see them. No other Medicare Advantage plan of any kind has a dedicated medical savings account attached to it. A dedicated bank savings account into which money is deposited at the beginning of each plan year to be spent for that year's qualifying health care costs. The other thing that distinguishes an MSA from any other Medicare Advantage plan is that MSAs have no network. MSA members have an access to any Medicare provider who agrees to treat them. No need for a referral or prior authorizations. In-network and out-of-network is the terminology of any other type of Medicare Advantage plan, but not an MSA. Now, I do want to point out that providers can decide with every visit whether to accept your MSA, But that said, there are thousands of providers who do, including some of the largest and most renowned health systems in the country. MSAs are Medicare Advantage only plans. There's no prescription drug plan coupled with the MSA, so you and your agent are free to find and match Part D coverage, that's drug coverage, D is for drugs, that is just right for you. By law, any MSA is not allowed to charge a monthly premium, so it's a $0 per month premium now, and it will be 5 years from now, and it will be 10 years from now. I mentioned that MSAs are the only Medicare Advantage plan that gives the member spending money. Members receive a deposit to begin each year, and it's not a use it or lose it proposition as you might think. No, unused money rolls over to the following plan year. So obviously the healthier a member can stay, the more their savings will accumulate. Now there's a risk of opportunity to accentuate. MSA funds can be used tax-free on all IRS-deemed qualified medical expenses, not just those, but also on expenses that may not be covered by Medicare. So this is going to be your dental, vision, hearing, prescription drug copays, and deductibles. But for an extensive list of what the qualified medical expenses are, please reference IRS Publication 502 using the link that we will provide. MSA insurance companies often have a member rewards program that offers extra perks to their members for taking proactive steps in managing their health, which is a nice win-win and another opportunity to accentuate, is it not? Finally, MSA funds can be invested for additional growth opportunities, so the MSA member has the option to invest any dollars over their bank's required minimum account balance to potentially grow those funds. MSA members are not allowed to contribute directly to their savings accounts, so this is going to be the only way to grow those funds, aside from being a continued member and receiving an annual deposit each year. Insurance companies will typically have 2 MSA plans from which to choose, one tailored to individuals looking for a lower financial risk, where members receive a smaller deposit, and in this example on the left, $2,000 per year, as well as a lower deductible, and in this example on the left, $5,000 per year. And then when you subtract the deposit from the deductible, that gives the member a $3,000 responsibility for the plan year. Looking to the right, this plan is going to be for those who are inclined to take on that higher deductible for a greater reward. You'll see the deposit is $3,000 per year. The plan deductible is a hefty $8,000 per year, leaving the member responsibility at $5,000 per plan year. Now, this is going to be more attractive to returning members, let's say, who have accrued a balance in their MSA over the past couple of years and have enough funds to cover most or all of their member responsibility. Current members wishing to move from one plan or the other are able to do so during annual election, October 15 through December 7 of every year, simply by completing a new application. Now, with so many unique characteristics along with the strong plan designs, MSAs can be a valuable option for many different types of Medicare beneficiaries. Travelers and snowbirds, they're going to be drawn to the MSA because of the broad access. Their health care isn't restricted to a network of providers, which is going to offer them more flexibility when they're out there enjoying retirement. I do want to point out that when we say travelers, we mean traveling within the U.S. and any territories considered part of the U.S. It's not for foreign travel. HSA fans, health savings account fans, will find the MSA to be a perfect landing zone for them in the Medicare years. They're going to tend to understand an MSA better. They can use their HSA to help cover some of their member responsibility portion that they have in the MSA. We help folks identify ways to strategically use their MSA funds and their HSA funds to get the greatest value for their dollar. IRS Publication 969 is worth looking at if you have an HSA but don't understand it, and we'll provide a link to that publication as well. People with in-control chronic conditions will find the MSA to be a good fit. Claims data really supports the fact that MSAs can be a great choice for those who have in-control chronic conditions, assuming, of course, that the number is limited. So if you have high blood pressure, let's say, or diabetes, high cholesterol, you don't have to dismiss the MSA as an option. As long as you receive regular care and continue to take your required medications, you can do extremely well and end the year with funds left over in your account. Health enthusiasts. Enrolling in the MSA should be an easy choice for this group. Their provider visits are going to most likely be limited to preventive care, and it's going to allow them to grow their account more rapidly for maybe down the road when their health turns a different direction. And then they've got a nice little amount saved up that they can use towards those expenses that they would then face. Medicare supplement enrollees. So anyone who is turning 65, maybe they're over 65 and they're in a Medicare supplement plan, that's going to be a substantial amount of savings for those individuals if they move into the MSA plan because of the $0 premium. In fact, the sequence of these next few slides is going to compare our sample MSA, which is a real-life MSA currently available, with a popular Medicare supplement plan, G. This comparison uses an average Plan G premium of $120 per month with an average annual increase of 7%. The rates displayed are for illustrative purposes only. Please contact your current or prospective Medicare supplement carrier for actual rates and rate increase history. The medical expense of $203 that you will see in the illustration is the current Plan G deductible at the time of this recording, which is subject to change annually, and it does. However, you will notice that for the sake of conversation and this illustration, we have the Medicare supplement annual deductible at $203 every year. Okay, so I have two scenarios that we're going to discuss. First, we will look at a very healthy member and then a member facing more health challenges. There's a lot of information on this particular slide, so I'm going to direct your attention first of all to those two quadrants that are stacked on top of each other to the left. These two quadrants on the left would be someone who enjoys few health challenges. They just simply don't require the services of a medical provider very often in a single year, beyond their wellness visits. And on the left side, we have the MSA column, and on the right side, we have the Medicare supplement column. And you'll see that if we're just talking money in and money out, if we're not discussing any medical expenses of any kind over the 10-year time frame, $20,000 goes into the MSA member's savings account. Almost $20,000 in mostly premium leaves that same member's pocket with a Medicare supplement Plan G. And that, of course, is from their personal funds. So if we go to the lower of these two quadrants, we actually now will layer in some medical expenses. For the sake of conversation, we're going with $500 year over year for medical expenses and even figuring a little for inflation at 4%. You'll see that at the end of those 10 years, the MSA member has experienced a little over $6,000 out of pocket. The beauty of the Medicare supplement plan is that once you've paid your annual deductible of $203, the gaps in your original Medicare Parts A and B are filled. I have MedSup clients tell me they never get a bill. And I think they're exaggerating a little bit, but I get their point because they are pretty much in a set it and forget it mode. And they should be, I suppose. But as you can see, the out-of-pocket for healthcare costs is considerably smaller with the supplement than for the same member with the MSA plan. But keep in mind that $20,000 has been deposited into the savings account of the MSA member over those 10 years with $0 in premium paid, so they've actually realized a gain. Whereas in the Medicare supplement scenario, that same member has paid their premiums and has received the care they needed with only $203 leaving their pockets on an annual basis. But with their premium payments, that still comes to, on average, depending on where the member lives, right around $22,000. Well, let's look at those two quadrants on the right now, shall we? Again, on the top section, we're just talking money in and money out. It looks very similar to the other side of the illustration, does it not? Now, in the lower section, we'll layer in some medical expenses, and this is going to be someone who's needing more care. You'll see that, in fact, the MSA side, on the MSA side, they hit their deductible of $5,000 in years 1 and 2 and 3, again in year 5 and 7, 8, 9. By the end of those 10 years, they've hit their high deductible 7 times. And almost $37,000 has left their pocket for medical expenses. Well, that's a big number compared to the $2,030 that they would have paid in their annual deductible of $203 per year over those same 10 years. But again, there's a premium to be paid for that Medicare supplement. And so the actual out-of-pocket medical expenses plus premium is almost $22,000. If that same person had had a Medicare savings account, they would have realized the $37,000 in medical expenses, but $20,000 would have been deposited into their medical savings account over those 10 years, meaning that despite the health challenges, despite the costs, a little less than $17,000 has left their pocket, saving them about $5,000 compared to their med-sup scenario. So I hope you found this interesting and perhaps even enlightening. To reiterate, there are 3 ways to do Medicare, and we help folks with all 3. While the illustrations in this presentation are compelling, they are intended to be an introductory overview only. MSAs are not for everyone. They are available in most states, but not all. If your state does have an MSA, Adams & Associates is multi-state licensed, so we can help you get it all in good order. Usually only one health insurance company is elected to operate an MSA per state. If your state does have an MSA, Adams & Associates is an independent agency. So regardless of the insurance company, we can help you get it in good order. Look for the web address in the description of this video or the body of content associated with it. When you click on that, you'll be directed to our agent training website where you can learn more.